So, you have been talking to me a lot lately about what you predict is going to be happening in the very near future. And I think it's absolutely insane. No one's really talking about it.
No one's talking about it because I don't think anyone really sees it. And the only reason I see it is because I'm in the, tech world. All my companies are in tech. And what everyone in tech is slowly realizing is that AI is coming and it's going to change the world, but in a way more massive scale, and it's much quicker than people think. Because right now it's like, oh, it's all this fun little things that are happening. Like you go on ChatGPT and you put in a cool little prompt. But what's happening is that things like ChatGPT are making certain jobs obsolete. AI voiceover, even like video editing is now largely being powered by AI. And we're at this small part of it, but all these major investment companies are looking at the small players in all these industries trying to pump money into this to be ahead of the competition because everyone's competing in this space. So we're going to see such a rapid growth that it's going to get to this point where everyone's jobs are going to be taken over by AI. Even things like programming is going to be taken over by AI, which is something that seems like a sci-fi type of thing, but ChatGPT can now write programs. ChatGPT can give you programming snippets better than programmers can, which is like a crazy thing to think about. And that's just at its infancy, and it wasn't built for just doing that. So what's going to happen is you're going to get to a point where everyone's job is kind of taken away. The government has to now step in and start giving people their basic needs. So we're going to get to some type of universal basic income soon because people just aren't going to have any jobs to do.
Is AI considered self-driving cars?
Yeah, fully. So taxi driving, all that stuff is going to go away. And people want to hold on to the idea that it's not like, oh, I'll never get a self-driving car or whatever it is. But the fact of the matter is, if every car on the road was a self-driving car, you wouldn't have any accidents. At a certain point when that goes away, if Uber comes out with a fleet of smart cars and it's going to cost you less per ride because there's no driver, they don't have to pay anyone, it's going to cost you less per ride to ride this specific type of Uber, no one's going to be talking about, oh, I don't trust a smart car anymore.
Because Uber prices are insane. It costs you like $50 to go downtown.
It's ridiculous. But as soon as that cheaper option comes in, people are just going to get in and go in a smart car. But the thing is, no one wants to look at it this way. And also they don't realize that when this happens, money is going to start to become obsolete.
You've said that before, but I don't 100% understand.
So if you don't have any jobs to do, let's say you come out of college and you have nothing to do because everything is taken over by AI. You have nothing to contribute. You have nothing to get money for. So now you're at this state where the government has to give you that basic income. You're going to have a bunch of people saying, I don't really feel like working, right? And as soon as those people say, I'm okay with the base needs and I'll just stay home, watch TV, hang out with my family, whatever it is, and I don't need anything extra, there's no money going into the market. And you're gonna have the value of things drop. And when the value of things drop, money's gonna drop. And we're gonna go into a new society. The only thing that matters is your reputation and how people view you and your, family and friendships and all that stuff. And it could go really bad or it could go great.
So my idea of this is that the companies that are using AI technology in any way, that there should be like an AI tax. And it would cost less than having to hire real people. But that tax would go directly towards funding what is essentially unemployment, but not really unemployment, more like just a living wage.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be an AI tax. As soon as the jobs go away, you're going to have more taxes. Businesses are just going to have to take on more taxes.
But in order for it to not come from the people that are making an honest living, so it shouldn't come from someone who isn't taking away jobs from people.
Yeah.
It should only come from the people who are profiting from not spending as much money on workers.
Yeah. And that's what it's going to have to come down to. All your money problems were solved right now and you didn't have bills and you were being taken care of. What would you do? Wouldn't you go towards more creative endeavors? Wouldn't you be doing more creative things with your friends? Wouldn't your reputation not rely on how much money you have and how much status you have because of the money, it might be good. It might turn into something good.
I think another way that it would be amazing is that there's probably a lot of people that are just genius that have to work as a cashier and just completely waste their lives doing things that they don't want to be doing, that isn't contributing anything to society.
But they have to.
But if you had people just flourishing in the field that they were meant to flourish in, we would probably have way more advancements, because I don't think everyone's just going to sit on their ass and do absolutely nothing. I think some people are just going to be driven to do what they're meant to do.
So when we get to a point where we have AI fully under control, and then we go into quantum computing, you're going to have a situation where anything that furthers humanity is not going to be done by a human, because an AI could do it way better. Once we build quantum computers, and once we have that processing power.
But we need those geniuses to work on it, do we not?
Until we get to that point, and then it's all just,
and then even the scientists can just relax.
I don't know where it's going to go.
The thing is, people can still make money. You can still do things that provide a service. There's certain things where you just need a human.
There'll always be things like therapy, and there will always be things that are in the creative space for work. But you're talking about a service, you're talking about cleaning, you're talking about delivering things. Those kinds of things are going to go away. Samsung and Google and all of them are already building home robots that will load your dishwasher. They'll clean up your house with arms, and will help you carry things.
But what about now the people that aren't able to afford those robots because they're just living off of the government wage?
Then they would have to do the work themselves. That's it. You're talking about affording those robots. It's going to get to a point where it's going to be marginal. Like, before, when the phones first came out, you needed to be pretty well off to get a cell phone. And the iPhones today are pretty expensive, but you can get a cheap smartphone for like $100, because mass manufacturing always brings the price down. It's only a matter of time, and everyone's going to adopt, because companies are now looking at tech in a different way, where it's like, you need to make sure it's usable to people. We're talking about like the AR glasses and the VR glasses coming out.
Yeah, that is insane.
As soon as that comes out, everyone's like, oh, I'm not going to use it. But if you are able to put on VR glasses and not need to ever have a physical laptop or a computer screen in front of you to type, send emails and all that stuff, are you going to say no to this? You can be in a coffee shop with nothing on you, put on glasses, and your computer pops up in front of you.
It's so insane.
I was talking to a few people in the industry that are high level in the industry. They agree is within max 10 years, we're going to see such a shift. ChatGPT is destroying the essay. It's done. They're trying to build bots to realize that something was AI generated, but that's not working. They were fitting in the AI that was supposed to check if the work was AI. Papers that were written by kids from way long ago, and it was like, oh yeah, that's definitely AI, because it's too close. You can't tell.
Yeah. I think the other thing, because I thought about this after you said it, and I was like, well, what about housing? Because the cost of living would have to go down. There's so many office buildings that are going to be converted into housing. If there's just a massive amount of housing that's suddenly available, but yeah, then it could be next to nothing.
It will be. I mean, we're seeing it in New York, all these office buildings that are empty. I know a couple of companies that just moved to smaller office spaces because they had 2 floors, most of their people are remote, and they're going to move. Google laid off thousands of people that they're never going to hire back. 3 days after they laid off thousands of people, they announced their AI competitor, ChatGPT. Now you have AI just being incorporated into everything. Microsoft is incorporating into their search engines. It's all taking just jobs away.
Weren't you saying that they're somewhere in some state, they're talking about giving out somewhat of an allowance to people?
It's going to happen. People don't realize their jobs are going to go away. And
it's not an insanely foreign concept. I mean, foreign, yes, literally, because foreign countries do this.
They do. They get enough to live off of, the Netherlands and places like that. Mm-hmm. They have a high tax rate and they get enough to live off of. And America prided itself in almost not doing that, because you have to earn your way here. Now it's just going to be forced. There's nothing you can do. You can be a truck driver. Your job is going to get replaced by a self-driving truck.
People really shouldn't be forced to perform meaningless tasks. In nature, what would have happened is people would have just been doing what they needed to do to survive. They weren't going into an office to earn money to then give to someone else. It's stupid. So it makes sense for us to go back to that. I hope that it doesn't become this thing where people are shamed if they are one of the people that's living off of their given income from the government.
I think it's going to be the majority of people that are going to be living off of that. So I don't think there's going to be a shame aspect to it.
Because there is a shame aspect to not being a top earner as far as a lot of people in society are concerned, because people are always flossing and women only want for your money and this and that. So hopefully it's not just going to be that the only people that are seen as attractive to the opposite sex are the top earners.
I think it's going to go away completely. I don't think money is going to be a measure of attraction for long.
These rich guys are going to have to learn how to be attractive now.
Yeah. I think it's dying right now anyway, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't think it was ever really that much of a thing. Just, being able to floss your wealth. I think it always attracted the wrong type of people into your life. But, like Luke was saying in the last episode, it's like, as men, you hope that that's what you need to do. Like you hope that it's that easy, where it's, you make a certain amount of money and all the women love you. It's just that's not what attraction is.
So when it comes to that whole idea of women wanting a man to take care of them and everything, I think what it really comes down to is not wanting to work. It's not that you want a man to provide you with all these flashy things. I think most women just don't want to have to work for an income. So the easiest way to do that is to have a man provide. But if we were in a world where you didn't have to work anyway, then I think that might make that entire thing go away for the most part, because then at that point, what you're asking for a man for is to provide you with a bunch of things so that you can show off. So then it makes it very apparent the type of person you are, and then you become an unattractive person for really wanting all of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's an unattractive thing, and we all know it's an unattractive thing to want to be a show off, but because of the nature of social media, it's become extremely normalized. I always think about, because we don't have friends that would go out of their way to show off things, I feel like. So I always wonder how it feels to be the friend of a person that's constantly trying to show off. I guess you have to support them in some way, or maybe they meet like-minded people that just love to show off. And this is just the main problem with social media and what it's created. It's created this pocket of people that show off, get a ton of views, and then it creates this other side of people that says, oh, okay, this is what people want, right? And this is what I need to do to get people attracted to me, because the normal stuff doesn't go viral, right?
It's just, it just seems like, oh, what else do you post if it's not something to show off? What do you think, aside from not being needy, is going to be key characteristics of an attractive person in this new society?
In a new society, and also this society, is the same thing. I think the number one thing is confidence. And this is a thing that everyone's looking to find out how to be. But I think confidence comes from just, knowing your self-worth. For example, it's very simple. If someone says to you, right, I don't like your rainbow colored hair. Exactly. Your immediate response would be like, all right, I don't have rainbow colored hair. You wouldn't internalize that. You wouldn't take it personally, right? And that's what having self-worth and self-confidence gives you, is just that same I don't care attitude. It's just, if someone says something to you, someone says something against you, like, all right, that's your problem. Like, you're being crazy, right? I don't have rainbow colored hair. And it gives you that core groundedness, which is what is attractive. It's what makes people, find you charismatic, for example, is just being completely yourself and not caring what other people say.
I think it's also something that you can't really put words on, and just a vibe kind of, but it really does tie into law of attraction, because people always talk about law of attraction in terms of bringing things into your life, but that's what attraction is. You're trying to bring another person into your life. So the whole way to do that is by aligning your own energy with what you want and being able to do that. And in order to be able to do that, you need to be somewhat of a meditative person. In a new society, people are going to need to be meditative and, like you said, grounded.